Most professionals, they know the industry standard. They know what's acceptable. They know what's expected. They even know what's required. But very few can articulate their own personal standard, the level of excellence they refuse to fall below, even when no one else is watching. Industry standards keep you employed, but personal standards determine how far you can actually go. Today, we're going to draw a clear line, hopefully for a lot of you, between the two and deciding who really sets the bar for your life and your work. Let's talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Are you measuring your success by industry expectations or by your own standard of excellence? Industry standards helps you to define the minimums to be in this situation. It doesn't cost you to have mastery. Industry standards, they exist to create consistency, but not greatness. They outline what's acceptable, but not what's exceptional. And so when we as professionals, we aim only to meet the standard, but in that you can cap your own growth without even realizing it. See, understanding that industry standards is one thing. There's one level of hey, you know what? I can be and will be employed possibly tomorrow, right? Not just today, but tomorrow as well, possibly. But are you now capping your actual growth because you're only basing your greatness off of you meeting this minimum? And see, personal standards, they can reveal your real identity. Your personal standard reflects who you believe you are. It shows up in your preparation, your follow through, your integrity, and your effort. Especially when you see that shortcuts are available. And a lot of times we want to do that. We accept the shortcut, but where are we learning from it? Sometimes we just want to get the situation done. It still could be industry standard, but do we really know the whole process? And so when you think on a higher level, as you're moving your organization forward, these high-level individuals, they don't wait for the reinforcement. They operate from conviction. They operate from a position of, I need to be better personally. My standards, here is what my floor is. So the industry standard could represent the ceiling, but that could be only your floor. And sometimes we don't understand what the difference is. We don't recognize what the difference is. And that's why some of us get caught up in we're thinking we're great, but when others say we're not, we have a challenge. So raising your personal standard, it changes everything. So your internal bar rises, your decisions shift. So you stop tolerating the mediocrity. You stop tolerating the misalignment. And ultimately, though, you stop tolerating the excuses. And so, an example for myself, if I am late to work and I still can outperform my coworkers, or the appearance of my outperformance of the coworkers. So I have every excuse that, hey, you know what? I can be late. I can accept that because their ceiling is my floor. But what is your real personal standard? What is the level that you think that you should keep for you? Being late every day, every other day doesn't work. You having to deal with the kids any and every day, again, that's not always an excuse, because people and situations are not going to always tolerate that. Opportunities don't tolerate that. See, opportunities expand not because you demand more, but because you become more. I need you to reconsider how you operate from a personal space. Yes, industry standards say, let's say for an example, something real basic. Industry standards are one ply toilet paper. I don't know. One ply paper towels. I don't know. And you decide that, in order for us to really make a name for ourselves and our reputation, maybe we need to go to 2-ply. And then you start to see other organizations, you know what, maybe we need to go to 3-ply. So that way we understand that even though industry standard is this 1-ply and it does clean things up in some natural way, whatever it might be. But if you go to something that's a little thicker and stronger, you may only have to wipe that countertop one time versus maybe 3, or get another piece because that first piece ripped up and tore up because of what you were trying to clean up was wet, it was damp, or whatever it was food. Maybe it was too much for that one piece of a paper towel or whatever it might have been. So let's keep that in mind, that relying solely on industry standards leads to the average outcomes in very competitive environments. I use the paper towel analogy because that can be a competitive environment. And we also understand that in that environment comes a level of cost. And so, yes, you're going to pay more for a better product, for a thicker product, because you get to do things in a more efficient and effective way. So there comes a level of investment in that space. So this stuff matters because personal standards drive differentiation. It drives trust, and it drives long-term credibility. These are qualities that accelerate both your career and your entrepreneurial growth. See, what things that the industry may not tell you was acceptable, but only you decide was honorable. The industry may accept this level of mediocrity. The industry may accept you in a position of, and I'll use podcasting for an example, especially in a position of building your brand and all those type of things. The standard, or the place where podcasters, the numbers say that most podcasters don't make any more than between 3 to 10 episodes, period. You might be lucky to get someone that gets to 100, right? You're looked at as someone like, wow, you're really doing it. But then when you get to those that are like myself, who are at 500 plus, right? Who has put all the effort and energy into it. When I look at myself, now that I know that I can get to over 80 episodes in a season easy, that's my floor. So I am shattering what the standard is. I am shattering what is required. I am shattering what the idea is to build my brand. and for me to make sure that you are out there that are listening, that you're educated enough to move your needle on your agenda. And so when your personal standard becomes non-negotiable, your growth becomes inevitable. Like this podcast, it continues to grow because of each and every one of you. And you're sharing it, you're liking it, you subscribe, and you're letting me know that what I'm offering to each and every one of you is valuable. So I would like for you to write down one thing, one area where you've been settling for acceptable and comment to raising your standard starting now. I thank you very much for listening today.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?